Good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy new week. How about that? Happy Tuesday. I'm Belinda with Just Be Yoga, and this is our home yoga practice live. Good to see you. This week, I thought that the practice could be focused on tapas. Tapas is delicious small Spanish plates, yes, but it also in yogic terms means discipline or devotion, and sometimes like feeling the heat of the energy of doing and going, and also then dharana or focus, because continuing and the stay to keep going, that takes a focus, right? A certain kind of commitment or dedication. So welcome, come on in. This is a practice that was born last year with the shutdown and the pandemic to help folks kind of roll out their mat and do their thing at home if you can't be in a group scenario. So this isn't a everybody come, we're gonna do this thing and just like repeat. My hope is that you'll take pieces of sections of this class or anything in our playlists and find the ability to be able to practice at home. Whether you've got 15 minutes, whether you've got an hour is lovely. But I know that that can feel like a luxury, and it can sometimes feel like a pressure. And then we're judging ourselves. Man, I didn't do my hour practice. All right, so come on in, and we are going to get started with a breath practice. I'm going to sit in a cross-legged space. You don't have to. You could be sitting any way that you wish. First, just a moment of some stillness. So continuing in continuity, we can apply that across doing it again tomorrow, doing it again every day, doing it next week, continuing to do it. It could also mean just staying on the mat. Like we could start to do something and just be like, how do we find that stay? How do we find that return? Because that's a part of the stay. So if you're coming on in, I'm Belinda with Just Be Yoga, and this is our home yoga practice. This week it's going to be on continuing in continuity and focus. I'm going to start with a alternate nostril breath. So I'm going to close the right nostril with my right thumb, breathing in up the left nostril. Close the left nostril with the last two fingers and breathe down the right. Breathing in up the right. Close that and breathe down the left. Continue in this manner. Try not to force anything. Allowing your awareness to start to join you in your body on your mat right here. Allow yourselves to feel all that you can feel about this breath. Where is it touching you? What is it doing to your mind and your emotions? How does it feel to be connected to your body and your breath this way? Release when you're ready. Continue, of course, if you're really in a space there of observing. See if we can allow the abdomen to relax, starting to let go of tensions in the body so that we can arrive on our mat in our most authentic, like no pretense kind of way. And I usually like to have an intention or a reflection before I start to move. Again, bringing my mind onto my mat. So with that, focus on continuing, or tapas, that devotion and focus. I'm going to reflect on how I've maybe had a relationship with continuing lately or not. Maybe looking at what I've let go of or quit, the things that maybe I've started and stopped. Not in a judging way, just feeling. What is that energetically? If it feels like a stuck feeling, where's that stuck feeling in the body? If it's a stuck feeling in the mind, where am I feeling it? What thoughts make me get stuck? And I'm going to recall what it feels like to just keep moving through. All right. I'm going to start with some simple neck rotations. Oftentimes when I arrive on my mat, I just start directionally and say I'm going to be mindful and conscious about being in my body and just kind of go in one direction. So I'm starting at the top of the body and I'm going to move down all the way to the feet, changing the direction, and just allow that I'm here to observe. How are my bones moving, my flesh? Are they willing? Feel my commitment to just being here as a physical body. Not any goal of how much I want to stretch the neck. Coming to a neutral space, shoulder rotations. Feeling their connection with the neck, feeling their connection with my chest. How much do they want to move? And then feel the continuing movement. Right? Okay, is there a stoppage? Do I know what continuing and continuation feels like? Does continuing necessarily start to look like rushing? Does it have to? So now maybe slow the pace. I'm going to change direction, but I'm going to slow the pace and feel continuing in this way. I'm actually able to feel a little bit more nuance in some of the flesh in my chest and in my back. I'm going to reach and extend the arms out, wrist rotation. Again, feeling the range, feeling my connection to them. How connected am I to the nuance in my wrists and my fingers? And my breath. What's the continuation of movement? Flaring in the fingers. Change direction. And feeling skin as an organ. I love bringing my attention to skin as an organ. Good. Hands to the shoulders. And now elbows. Ooh. I'm feeling this continuation. Now maybe just even this level of physical movement from the neck through the shoulders. Maybe we're feeling, we're spending some energy overall. The body is working. What's happening? What's happening to the breath? And how do you find a balance to continue? So if you're feeling already overexerted and starting to feel a little overheated, how can we change either the pace or the range of what we're moving? Changing direction now. For me, how do we start to find a pace or a range that allows for continuing? What do you need to say to your spirit that maybe if you're feeling that touch of, I want to stop, and you know that it's not that you can't physically keep going, that it's feeling like a bit of a willpower. And I don't mean no pain, no gain, or suffer through, all right? There's nothing to suffer here. What are we worth? What are we willing to feel? What do you need to start to commit to yourself, maybe in a mantra? I need to say I'm worth it sometimes. I'm going to bring the arms behind me. Good. And twist, feeling the chest, and twist. Opening the chest and working the whole spine. So now we're really starting to come lower. I can feel the base of my spine, my midsection, my organs. Like I said, I like to just progressively come through the body. If I don't really have any other template to say, oh, what should I do on my mat? Or what should I do in my body? How can I be in my body? I'm going to release. Now I'm going to give myself a hug. Go ahead and pay attention to whatever arm's on top so that you can switch the next time around. And then back to that twist. What's different? Ooh, I can really feel my upper chest a lot more. And you know what? My legs and my groin are having to press down to give me some of that leverage. Now could we lift through the neck and make space, not feeling collapsed in our yoga, in our bodies? We want to feel free in our bodies. I'm assuming most of us do. So how do we help that cause? Are we even aware of when we are collapsing? Check in now also, I'm going to switch arms, on how much heat are we building and whether we're wishing to stop. You don't have to do my pace, but what is continuing? I'm going to start to slow this and feel the slow revolving. Oh, and that's really helping me feel how much the front of my body has to help the back of my body in this process. Feeling the breath going in and out. And now elbows, feeling that range up and down, chin and neck. And I'm going to round the spine and lift the chest like a bit of a cat-cow. All right, check in right now. Is anything cramping? How does it feel to just continue? Continuing in movement as a commitment of being in our physical body, being physical in our bodies, and releasing those arms. I'm going to lengthen my legs out now, waking them up just a little bit. I love this vibrational exercise I learned from Indu Aurora, a wonderful yogini last I checked, in the Chicago area, of pointing and flexing, ankle rotations. So we've gone from our head, did skip through here. We're going to come back up into the legs in a moment, but I'm working the feet. Oftentimes, sometimes in that cross-legged position, it can feel like circulation or the nervous system is a little compressed or cut off. Spreading toes. Good. Sitting up tall, a little bit of a twist here, using the arms for leverage. Release. And sitting up tall. And release. Good. Now I'm going to come forward. I'm going to bend the knees a little. Feeling the back of my body, definitely. Now I'm starting to feel the backs of my calves. Less about the hamstrings. Sorry, a little cat here. And rolling the spine up. Feel free to always remember, too, that physical touch is a part of the practice. So maybe massaging, feeling those legs. Good. I'm going to bring the legs a little closer together for me. It's a little bit more relaxing to have the legs a little wider, so it's a little less stressful on the backs of the hamstrings. So keep that in mind as you're positioning your legs. But now I'm going to press the backs of the legs down and come forward. Start to notice your spine, your whole body. What areas of the body are talking to you? I'm going to roll the spine up. I'm going to bring my legs together now and come forward and bring it up. So now I'm just going to find a pace and a commitment to seeing, can I stay now with being engaged in the legs? So can I keep the legs active? And if I ever notice that I've let that go, can I just be all right with re-engaging? Continuing. I'm also going to continue to try to practice kindness. So when I notice that I've let something go, notice now my mind, and is my mind critical or judgmental of that? And how do I continue to practice kindness as I continue to practice being physical in my body. And I'm going to come forward here, maybe 5 breaths, 3 to 5 breaths, whatever you can hold with a calm mind. Feeling your commitment to feeling space and freedom in the body. Commitment to being full and aware in our breath. Guide the mind back when it comes away from practice and it's starting to do some activity, some planning for later in the day, and roll the spine up. I'm going to bring the bottom of my left foot up against my right inner thigh, coming into this hip here, and come forward and back, coming forward. Just a little bit of a flow. You can see I'm still choosing to give some physical touch, a little bit of a massage as I'm stroking up and down this leg, waking up the nerves, the nerve endings on this skin and this flesh. And now the next time I come through, maybe 3 to 5 breaths, still squeezing that right leg, feeling that left hip and thigh, trying to quiet the mind. Why am I here? What commitment do I have to continue to stick with myself as a physical body being physical? And I'm going to switch left leg, right foot. Feeling my spine sitting upright and then back and forth. Ooh, feeling the difference here from side to side. Really not feeling it in this left leg as much as I'm feeling it, over here in this right hip. We're all experiencing different sensations, different effects from how we have been moving in our bodies. We are all having a different connection to our breath. And I'm going to hold 3 to 5. Guiding our minds back to a kind commitment of continuing. And coming in here. Bottoms of feet together, trying not to strain, all right? So if it's super tight in the knees or the legs, maybe keep the heels a little further away. My back feels more free when I can bring those heels a little closer. You could hold your shins, maybe interlace, feeling the legs. And let's just do a little butterfly wing flutter. Feel a pace that works. Remember, changing and varying the pace, still creating space in our spine deliberately. How deliberate are we being as a physical being? Who are you when you're just in your rib cage, feeling the length and structure and countenance of your rib cage? Who are you when you're in these hips and groins? How much can you feel and be aware of how much pressure, how much movement that you need, how much the hips will give you? Left side, right side, can you feel that difference as well? Pressing inner thighs and forward and back. Now, here we go. I'm going to start to find a pace, and then I might vary that pace. So I've started and I've found a pace. And I am going to slow it down here. And seeing if I can also involve the neck, everything about the physical body, what's moving, what's not moving, what role they have with one another. Now I know I'm speaking about all kinds of different dynamics. This isn't meant to encourage you to be in a thinking space. hoping to help guide us toward more of a feeling space. That's how I experience the yogic experience. There's a bit of a learning curve, of course, so we do need to have a little bit of brain power and intellectual power to start. Now I'm going to come forward and I'm going to hold 3 to 5 breaths. Feeling the nature of letting go, feeling the nature of permitting, and then feeling continuing in that element of stay in a static pose. It's a different kind of stay, and yet it isn't. How familiar are we about our own relationship with stay when we have to hold and stay when we have to stay in movement? Right? I could equate that to the difference of having to get up and go to work again each day versus sitting, if you have a job where you just have to sit and just stay pretty static in our movement. Rolling our spine up, or sitting and waiting in traffic, right? One could see that as, maybe that's a better contrast of having to do something again and again and again versus that sit and that stay, and you can't control the change, but you have to stay. What's going on? All right, so we've gone head to foot. Now I'm going to change my orientation, right? I was sitting, now I'm going to come to hands and knees. I'm going to stay on the hands and the feet, the 2 extremes, and I'm going to lengthen the right leg back, put the toes down, and push back. I'm going to feel that stretch first. Oh. Now I'm going to lift that leg, and I'm going to lift the left arm. Breath in, breath out, elbow to knee, and use the breath to expand. Now remember, we can all now find a pace that works for us. Your heat is going to generate differently here because your belly and your core have to support your body weight from falling onto the floor. So there's more work to exert. So we might find out like how much energy, how much strength and endurance do we have for this continuity. Maybe you need to slow it down. Are you aware? Do my legs do more than my upper body and my arm? What's changing now in our minds as we're continuing? And I'm going to bring that hand down and that knee down, switching legs, putting the toe down, pushing back on that heel. This is a hold and stay, which you could also apply your own kind of pacing to. Noticing what's stuck and holding, kind of pinching, clenching in the back of that leg. And then when we're ready, what does it feel like to be lifted, suspended? We are holding and staying with extension and expansion. And now in and out, being in this physical body. What's supporting me? What's moving? What's allowing? And I loved, even when I just said moving, I realized, I can actually lengthen my spinal vertebrae. And that actually feels longer, bigger, not just my leg and my arm. There's a whole midsection there. What does that midsection do? Does it want to do? All right, now if you're getting overheated, you can slow down, you can take a break for a second and return, right? Continuity doesn't mean that we don't get to honor and respect where we are. Because when you pick it back up, that is a continuing. We're going to bring that hand down, tucking the toes now, pushing the butt up, lifting the hips, letting the head go. Breath in. Breath out. I'm going to lower the knees down. Reach the right leg back, left arm forward, and bring that back. Switch. Left leg, right arm. So right now I'm just involving from the extremes into my center and now back to down dog. And I'm repeating. And you can find a way to just kind of string together your own movements. And you're in it. And then we're just in it. And we start to notice what's working together. Oh, I almost didn't take my breath with me there. I get to laugh about it, keep that kindness in my mind. And down dog, what's lengthening? And I'm feeling that heat or that working, that propulsion, that engine in me that's keeping me going. Committed to being a physical body, doing physical things. And I'm going to bring the knees down now. Now that midsection, really in a more isolated way. I've got a bit of space in between the inner thighs. Hands to the low back. Just lifting and down to child's pose. Rolling it up. Hips over knees. Now I'm going to turn sideways. Hips over knees, chest lifting, taking the breath with, and child's pose. Bringing it back up. So find your pace. What actually is allowing this lengthening, this stretching of the front of the body without crunching your spine? Do we know how to notice that? Taking our breath with us. Are we feeling freedom in the body, or are we starting to notice areas that really don't want to move that much? Where's the mind going? Is it judging it? Is it trying to force it? Do we see it as something to fix? Or are we finding some acceptance of this body? This is what this feels like today. This is where my body is today. What is the kindest way I can treat my body and let it find its freest range of movement today? And how does that free range of movement help my mind, my spirit, my breath? And I'm going to bring my hands down. I'm going to step the right leg up. Tuck the back toes, straighten the back leg. Pull the chest up. Bring that knee down, step that foot back, walk it back to a hands and knees plank unless you want to do an extended plank, lowering down to the belly. Feel the belly on the floor and lift the chest. Keep the hips down, elbows bent, cobra, coming back to hands and knees, stepping the left foot up. Tucking those toes, straightening that back leg, and bringing that knee down. Now, I'm starting to feel a little bit of heat where I know that my body is like, okay, we need to keep working. Now I'm going to find a balance of that. So I'm just going to start to keep going, not trying to overcook my heat. Lifting the chest, not spending all the gas in the tank. We're all going to have a different space of that. Stepping this foot through. I just slowed that down because I wanted to feel the hip lift and carry that leg. Straighten that leg, feeling the hips opening. Don't take it too far. How is the breath connected with our body movements? Maybe staying on those knees, feeling the lowering, not just dropping. Engaging in a physical body, doing physical things, continuing to do physical things. What does this commitment, this continuity feel like in our bodies, in our mind, and in our breath? Now please remember, this is meant to be home yoga practice to give you little chunks, little segments that you can start to take with you. So maybe you're done for today. Maybe you want to go to something that's a lot more relaxing. Maybe some of the stuff we were doing in the beginning. Maybe you're good, you're staying with us, or maybe you've modified. What does this continuing feel like? Now, if this continuing is feeling like punishment, if it's feeling like anger, anything that's judging yourself, how do you transform that to a kinder, softer space about yourself? Listen to the language that you're saying to yourself, or what you're committed to. If you're committed to a higher power or higher calling, how are you embodying that right now? And child's pose. I'm going to flip the palms here and just feel this change of direction of those arms as I sink back into the child's pose. Feeling the backs of my shoulders and armpits, the pressure in the shoulder sockets. And I'm going to flip the palms, coming forward to hands and knees, and step both legs up. And now, this is the first time that we're standing. I'm going to have my feet, I've got them a few inches apart. Letting my upper body hang. I'm going to hold this because we really haven't had a space of that static continuing to stay in a soul position. Feeling everything that's moving within us, moving in the mind, moving in the breath. And starting to roll the spine up, continuing slowly, not stopping. Can slow be continuing? Slow doesn't have to mean stop. Gradually lifting the arms, seamlessly, letting that transform into coming forward. Now, if you need those knees to soften them. This can be kind of stressful on the backs of the legs for some. Letting the back of the head go and rolling the spine up. Can you feel your low back curving? Can you feel the progression and the continual flow of movement, that wave of movement rolling through your own body, reaching and expanding, coming down? How is the breath connected with that? And how is it feeling to be in this physical body, in this kind of upside down positioning? Having your head and your gaze, maybe keep the eyes open deliberately to feel that change of perspective. What's lifting? Can you feel the muscles around your waist and ribs, giving you containment and form? And coming up. Bending the knees, pulling the butt back, sitting up. Now your hands could be at prayer or up. This is chair. And then come to standing. And sinking. And standing. You start to feel out. Where's your breath go here? Where does it want to go? Can we stay continual in our breath as well, where it's not stopping or starting? Riding over the edge of the end of the inhale into the exhale. And the exhale just blurring right over into the inhale. Hand to the heart. Lift the waist. Can you just lift the waist and take it forward? Bend the knees, rolling the spine back up. Feel your feet. Are you clenching in the feet? What's getting tired in the body and how do you help it? Lift the waist. Lift the waist and take it forward. Good. So if you're joining, we're just doing our continuation is the practice today. Coming back up into the mountain. How do we just stay? Lifting the waist. Continuing in a set of movement and noticing. Continuing and staying in a loving and kind mindset. I'm going to bring the hands down, step the right leg back. I'm going to spin that foot flat. Now, if I were to draw a line from the back of this left heel, it would meet with the arch of the right foot to make kind of a capital T pattern. I'm going to keep this knee bent. You can support yourself to come up. This is the widest our hips have been in a standing position. Not letting that knee go past that toe. And up and down. So we're just staying, just like we talked about with the breath. Can you find the non-stop, non-start? So I'm going to do maybe 3 more of these. It's harder because I think when we straighten that leg, it really wants to stop and lock. Does it want to, or is it my mind? How are they working together? Sometimes we get up into these standing poses, and we definitely left our breath down there on some of the poses down there. Can we bring our breath with us? Hold. Can we twist and twist? Ooh, how does that feel? How does it feel to be in a physical body and a body doing physical things? Twist. What's that front leg starting to say? How do you find the stay? Do you back off of the angle? Maybe deepen. It might feel like, what? Sometimes deepening, just any sort of shift or change, giving us that break. Maybe reversing and side angle. And reversing. Maybe you don't do another. Maybe your legs are giving on you. Talk. You're not here to be the boss of your body. You're here to work with it. You're here to be one unit. And I'm going to bring my hands down, stepping the back leg up, trading it out, stepping the other leg back. I'm going to spin that foot flat, doing that alignment. And bring myself up. Please don't rush to bring yourself up to try to stay with me. I'm going to keep my back turned. We know where we are now. And now, these arms, what are they saying? Would they prefer to be here? Do they feel heavy? Could you stay? Could you stay and lessen your own load? What does it feel like? What are you committing to when you say you stay? Not forcing yourself, not punishing yourself. All right, now remember, you could just choose to do a little bit of some of the standing sequencings. You could do some of the seated ones. We don't all have to have an hour of time. This is just helping us, hopefully, come up and feel some of the things that we confront when we're trying to practice at home. Wondering, what am I practicing? We're practicing connecting body with breath and mind. And I'm not saying that people don't need teachers and people don't need guidance. We all need guidance. But eventually we all have to do the thing. Because sometimes if we just rely always on going to a class or a single teacher, we're doing what they're saying. We're not getting into our stuff. We're letting them almost tell us what to feel. I know that I've gotten into those spaces, and that I've definitely had to start to learn how, and nowhere else to do it other than on my own, on my mat, to say, am I willing to move something and just do this thing a couple of times, maybe 20 times, and go, oh, now I feel, wow, I am tensing that. Or, oh, I really don't know how to engage that. Or, oh, this thing makes me mad. And bringing down, or this thing makes me feel good. I'm going to bring the back knee down, step this knee back, and come to child's pose. Breath in Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Good. If it's safe to do so and to be able to stay on your knees, go right ahead. If you cannot, go ahead and come to sitting with your legs out in front of you. All right, so it just depends on what's going on in our knees. But I'm going to walk back. So if you're sitting on your butt, I'll show you in a moment. But we're going to walk back and up. Just feeling where we are. Remember, gauge your pace. What is continuing? What is the stay, the sticking with it, and the feeling? Can I just feel this? Can I be here? Be right here. So if we're on our butt, right? So if we can't put that pressure on our knees, can I be here? Can I be here? Now your feet, your knees, your wrists are all going to tell you different things. Okay, I'm going to go back to the one on the knees because the tops of my thighs were really actually happy to say, oh, hey, we don't really get to move this way very often. But listen to your joints. How can you start to vary the pressure in different areas, especially if we're talking about our hands? Okay, are you only aware of the heels of your palms, closest to your wrists? You have a lot of surface in your palms. Can you apply pressing and standing in them? What does that feel like? What's starting to let you know that it's working, like different muscles are working? Definitely feeling it in the backs of my arms, a little bit up toward the front of the shoulder muscles, but otherwise, really, it's just the backs of the arms for me and the stretch in the thighs and the hips. Now, if you're wondering, how long do I do it? Now, if you're feeling strong and you're not feeling like, oh, I'm going to collapse, what is the edge? Can you continue and find the edge that says stop and explore what is that stop? Is it a danger stop? Is it a, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure stop? Is it a, oh my God, this is hard stop? How do you kiss the edge, extending yourself to just a new little layer and then back off? And then the next day, maybe it's a new edge the next day or every other day, right? I really don't like to set like yoga goals, like, oh, in 20 days, I want to be the master of blah, blah, blah. But instead I'll say, I want to see what happens if I commit to doing a thing doing it for 5 days. And then I then will learn, whoa, this thing changed in this muscle. This thing changed over here. This opened up over here, right? So it's a different, maybe a different mindset toward progression and a different mindset about growth, letting something unfold, not commanding onto the body or dictating from the mind any sort of set. All right, so I'm going to now come back to sitting, and let's see what the legs want to do. All right, I'm going to come into what's called Gomukhasana. Now, this may not be for everyone, so if this kind of positioning of your knees over knees doesn't work, you can always go to crisscross applesauce, okay? But this is bringing the legs into this kind of positioning. It might also be easier for you to find this kind of positioning standing instead of weight bearing. When we're sitting on the hips, so much weight and pressure on the bones may create limitation in the range of movement in the body. So less weight on it when we're standing might give us a little bit more freedom, but I'm on my butt. So as best I can here, if your knees are feeling anything feeling like that, scary, don't do that, don't do it. All right, so my right knee is over my left knee. I'm going to see how this hip wants to be. Now already I'm feeling a little bit of stretch down the side of this calf and a little bit along this hip. And that's going to be good enough for me here today. These heels can either come closer to the butt. If the knees are healthy and are saying, okay, you might be able to bring the shins out more perpendicularly, okay? And that might create more pressure on some of the ligaments and muscles along the sides here, the IT band. Can we keep this right butt down, chest lifting, and now twisting to the right, shoulders back, breath in, lifting through the top of the head. Exhale, revolving, relax the belly. Inhale, rise in the chest. Exhale, revolve in the chest. Good. Ooh, gently release. Other side, inhale. Exhale, twist. Inhale. You find your pace. Exhale. Remember what I said about space. Are you feeling like you're collapsing somewhere? And how do you lift up and off of yourselves? All right. So we could add the arms to it. So I'm going to bring my right hand behind my back. Now, if you can find your fingertips back here, great. But please don't stress about that because you can just bring the left hand up and find that elbow. Breath in. Exhale, forward. And bringing ourselves up, breath in. Karma, no. Exhale, forward. Sorry, I was talking to my dog. We'll do this 3 to 5 times. Working a pace. Feeling, changing that pace to say this is what continuing at this pace feels like. What am I feeling in my organs, in my abdomen, in my upper chest, spine, armpits? Breath and mind. And then forward, breath in. Breath out, maybe let those arms go. We're going to hold here. This is the continuing and staying in a static space. But we get to observe everything that is not static right now. Far from static. And bringing ourselves up. I'm going to switch legs now. Take your time. Saying that we've just continued to be in the body. I love reflecting on, what's the journey that I've taken already? Because if I've been taking a trip in my body, right? We started sitting, we got to do some belly stuff, hip stuff, standing stuff. Like, wow, we've been around the world and back. Whew. Feeling the difference on this side, sitting up. When you are ready, revolving. And I love twists as a wonderful practice of continuity because there's action and energy constantly swirling up. So even a static stay isn't static. So can I feel the swirls that are coiling upward? Am I actively involved in those coils? How about the coils that are going downward in your sit bones, through the tailbone? And in that coiling, what's releasing and what's holding? And slowly release, coming around to the other side. And ask yourself, in this stay, did I stop practicing? And that takes a bit of honesty with ourselves. Like, am I really just sitting here doing nothing? Or am I applying myself into the twist? What is the application of my practice right now? And releasing. I'm going to come now to the other side here. This left hand. On this side I might find this clasp, and I am. That's a different space. You could hold a strap here, but both of my hands are together back here. This may not be for you, so you might want to just hold this elbow. What does an erect and upright spine feel like here? What concert of muscles and tissue have to help keep that spine in that kind of position? And we're going to come forward and back, finding our flow. 3 to 5. Maybe for you it's 8. What's starting to fatigue from being applied so much? What's starting to loosen up and say, hey, I'm a physical body doing physical things. And then after we're done with the cycle, we're going to hold and breathe, feeling all the undercurrents. Letting the arms go when you're ready. And bringing ourselves up, releasing out of that space. All right, so now I'm going to come down to my back. So we've done standing, we've done kneeling, we've done seated. We've worked spine. Remember, kind of like just use a map and just kind of come up and down the body. We've done twisting, folding, bending. After a while, there's really not much more variety we can do in the human body. All right, I'm going to bring myself down onto my back. Let the eyes remain lightly open, and I usually love to keep some time and attention on all of my senses. Feeling my eyes doing eyesight things. Not what are my eyes seeing. Just be with my eyes as they're seeing. Be with our ears hearing. Try to keep that focus just on whatever your ears can hear. Closest to you, far away from you. Trying not to identify what we're hearing. Just feel your ears receiving sound, detecting sound, searching for sound. And let's just go to the sense of touch now. Feel all of the points of contact of your back body, the back of the body, the surface of the body, touching floor, touching earth. What do you notice about that touch? All along your right arm, all along your left arm. Not trying to identify what it is, just feel the nature of that touch. Cool, pressure, tingly, hot, sticky, wet, gripping, maybe there's clothing. How about on both shoulder blades and the mid-back? How much weight and pressure, how much swath of body surface can you feel holding the weight of your chest? How about holding the weight of your head? Have you released the weight of your head? And the whole midsection, front of the abdomen, feeling breath move the chest and feel all of that touch. Feel the air touching the tissues inside of your body. filling up air sacs? How about individual air sacs? Feeling the skin of your abdomen stretch and expand as your breath comes into your chest and your belly. Feeling the fabric move on your body. Your hips and buttocks. Left side, right side. Skin surface facing the ceiling, skin surface touching the mat on both of your legs. Can you stay with this sense of touch, not identifying or naming or labeling, just feeling? What's hard about it? What wants to quit? What wants to let go? What's bored? What's starting to float away into our imagination? Gently wiggle fingers and toes, noticing that sensation, so much more vibrant awareness and aliveness in the hands and the feet. Maybe stretching. And allowing ourselves to come upright to a comfortable seated space. Sitting any way you wish, maybe having your back with support against the wall. Now for me, ideally, I like to have that quiet reflection in the beginning of my practice and quiet reflection bookending, capping my practice. Coming back to the quietude and the stillness, the being present. Not saying, oh, I'm done and running off. And that's applying myself with continuity with that too. Because actually the up and running off is like tapping on the window going, hey, we got other stuff to do. Hey. And it's like, this is enough. This is valid. This is now. And can I give now the gift of my attention? Can I give now the gift of me being present as a physical body, doing a physical thing of being present? Of being a body right here, being in breath right here. Maybe reflecting on the lessons of continuing. Continuing in the hold, continuing in the do. Hands to the heart center. I'm Belinda with Just Be Yoga, and it's my pleasure to be able to share home yoga practice with you. Please, continue and continue again. Namaste. Thank you for joining. Plug into this practice anytime, any time of day. Pick a couple of nuggets. Say, okay, I can do that. Try to make things accessible. Just Be Yoga began in 2008, 2010, with the goal of trying to be able to offer in a donation-based manner, making yoga practices, Tai Chi practices, meditation practices accessible and inclusive of as many kind of body types, injuries, however we arrive on our mat, and accessible monetarily, accessible technologically, So it is my hope and my wish to be able to share ways to practice. Make it chewable, digestible, not too complex, and not be watered down. So I'm hoping to be able to also bring in the authenticity of what this practice has to offer for us. Thank you all so much for joining. Come on back again tomorrow if you like. Our lessons this week, continuity, keeping going, tapas, and focus. Thank you all so very much. Namaste.